Hi, I'm Stuart. Welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back. Thanks for viewing my video. In this video, I'm going to give my review of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This was the May read for the I'm with the Band book club, a book club on fable, moderated by MJ. Reading This Life at M-J on here. This is a reread for me. The previous time I read it was the 1818 text, the original text. This is the 1831 version. It was revised by Mary Shelly herself, so it is her revisions. I frankly admit I can't really remember the first time I read this, even though it wasn't too long ago, so that I could compare the differences in the versions. This book is told in an epistolary method. It is told in letters, one of which is quite long. There is a captain, Captain Walton. He is the captain of a ship that is trying to forge as north as possible in the Arctic. He writes the letters to his sister Margaret, uncertain if they'll ever reach her because it's quite a dangerous mission. He also really wants a friend. He doesn't really have a friend. When I read something like that, I think, well, your sister could be your friend, but perhaps at that time that a family member, that wasn't considered the case. So he really wants a friend. The crew sights a man under great distress out on the ice, and they bring him on board. They nurse him back to some level of health, and this person is Victor Frankenstein, and he tells a story to the captain. Victor Frankenstein is born and raised in a prosperous family in Switzerland. He's not super old when his mother passes away. He goes off to college and he develops an obsession with trying to piece together body parts of people and reanimate them into, won't call exactly a human, I'll use the term creature. And he is successful at that. But the creature is not exactly what he bargained for. And the story goes from there. I felt different about some things the second time I read it than the first. One of them was that I recognized how beautiful the language is, the locations that Mary Shelley describes, Swiss mountains and lakes and forests and stuff there. I thought there was really beautiful language used. The other thing that I thought differently was that I felt sympathetic with the creature. I won't give details, but the things that, I guess I can't say things are an excuse for the things he did, but the things that happened to him, you could understand why he did what he did. They were really wrong, but you could understand why he did what he did. And it's basically a study of also what Victor Frankenstein did that he regrets greatly and he tries to correct. Ultimately, this is a really well written, as I said, beautifully written book. It's a good read, but ultimately it's a very sad tale. I did enjoy it, I would say, more the second time than the first. The first time I rated it 4 stars. And this time I also rated it 4 stars, but it sounds funny, but it's a little better 4 stars than the first time. I quite enjoyed the reread. And I did enjoy the original time I read it too. I wish I could remember the differences between this and the 1818 text, but I really can't. One thing I want to say too is that I remember from my first read. I had thought I read Frankenstein before my first read, but after reading it I realized that it was a lot different than I remembered, and what I really remembered was the movie or movie versions I saw of it, and they were significantly different from the book. So at least the ones I saw were significantly different. And one thing I didn't realize either is that I consider this a horror novel, but I'm going to talk a little later about an article I saw that the writer suggested it's one of the earliest sci-fi novels. And I think it should, in fact, be considered maybe a combination of a sci-fi and horror novel, and a psychological examination of what occurs when somebody is obsessed with doing something, achieves great achievement scientifically, but it's not what they counted on. To me, it's like kind of what happens when you play God. Just because you can scientifically do stuff doesn't mean you should do them. I recommend this book to anyone who wants to read a beautifully written, we'll say sci-fi / horror novel. Early example of both. Not a happy ending, but a really good book. Don't really have many warnings. There's a little bit, I suppose some of this stuff is a little graphic. There is, I should say I do have a warning. There is a murder of a child. Not super graphic, but a child was killed, so that may be certainly understandably off-putting to some people. And the fact it could be off-putting that it is a sad book. But barring those concerns, I really recommend this book. I enjoy it greatly. Okay, now I'm going to veer into political territory. I've said in previous videos I'm probably not going to talk about political stuff unless they relate to books, but I read this book as part of a book club that reads banned books, so I want to do a little investigation. I'm going to put text on the bottom screen that's going to say political discussion, so if you choose not to read it, you can. There's not going to be anything more in this video, so if all you're interested is a review of the book, you saw that and you can stop viewing. But I am going to talk from here on. It's going to get a little political. I did a search on, is Frankenstein a banned book? And basically what it said is it was for a period of time, but it's not anymore. But I did come up with this interesting article. It's called Booklash Frankenstein by Amanda Morgan at the Woodward, Maryland's University Online News Source. And basically, she pointed out that Mary Shelley didn't get her due as writing one of the first sci-fi novels. Generally, the first sci-fi novel, they said, is, she refers to an article that came out in 2021, the New York Times published an article entitled How H.G. Wells Predicted the 20th Century, attributed the development of the science fiction genre to H.G. Wells. And she's not going to discredit him for that, but she said other authors such as Mary Shelly should be recognized for the contributions as well. And then she says since it was published in 1818, it has ruffled a lot of people's feathers. However, it's overcome society's backlash and attempts to ban based on old-fashioned thought processes. Throughout the years, it's been banned and censored for numerous reasons, both in and out of classrooms. And one reason, as I talked about before, is the death of a young child. Created an uproar. People believe the scene was inappropriate and inhumane. It's not graphic at all, but a child does die. He was murdered. And they scorned Frankenstein for playing God, which I think it is the focus on the book is that you really shouldn't play God. So I agree that you shouldn't play God. That was the reason they banned it. And people were scared of the implications that technology had. Society is now desensitized to horror. So it was a banned book, but according to this article it's not. But Mary Shelley should have been given more credit for one of the progenitors of science fiction. I then went on Pen America. That's kind of the source. I'm new to doing these searches, but that would be my source for trying to figure if a book's banned. And they have lists of banned books per years. I looked at 2023 to 2024, 2022 to 2023, 2021 to 2022. And I looked up Mary Shelley on their list, and then I looked up Frankenstein. I didn't get any hits on either. But I did get, there was peripheral things, like, for instance, from 2020, 23 to 2024, there is book called Introducing Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman by Greg Raza. It's banned in Texas, Northeast Independent School District. So I don't know what that book is. It's just that it's a Frankenstein-related book. But I didn't find any examples of this book currently being banned. I mean, I suppose it could have been banned a while back and stay banned. I don't know, but I didn't find any. I hope you're having a good reading week. I hope you're having a good week in general. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, please subscribe, please hit the bell to get notified when I upload future videos.